So welcome everybody to the Imperial College London session. I'm very pleased to introduce Chloe McLean, who's an international office with Imperial, or an international officer at Imperial College London, who's going to be speaking to you today about the UK advantage in direct admission into medicine, law, dentistry, pharmacy programs with Imperial College in London. And I know she has lots of really important information, so I'm not going to talk too long. The only thing I'm going to say is we have two ways that you can interact with us. The first way is in the comment in the comment section. Feel free to introduce yourself and let Chloe know where you're from, what your interests are. I know it's always exciting to hear where potential students are coming from. And then if you have specific questions, we ask that you put it in the Q&A tab. And that's only so that we can find your questions at the end very easily, because there will be an opportunity to have those questions answered at the end. So at the end, we'll go through the questions. And if it's a question that has not yet been answered in the presentation, we'll do our best to ask Chloe about it and have her answer the question at the end. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Chloe. And I hope that you find this an informative session. Thank you, Chloe.
No worries. Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction, and thanks everyone for joining us here today. So yes, as we've said, my name's Chloe. I work as an international officer here at Imperial College London, and so my job is to help guide our students make good applications and just find out more about us as a university. And now today's topic, I'm going to be talking about, the UK advantage. So why should you study in the UK? And what does that look like? How are our degrees set out? How are our applications set out? And how that might be different to what you're used to. So I'm going to start off with just but anything okay?
I was just going to say, your screen is presenting your notes screen, not your actual presentation. So we're getting all of the controls and the next slide and so I don't know. Yeah.
If I swap that over, does that work better?
That's better. Can you do it that way?
Great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So in the beginning part of the presentation, I'm going to just go over who we are as a university, just as some background, and then I'll move on slightly to how to apply to the UK and what the advantages of studying in the UK are. So just in case you're not familiar, I'm so sorry if this comes across as a little bit boastful, but Imperial, we are an incredible university, particularly if you've always dreamt of going to somewhere that is particularly competitive, that is well renowned for its research. So at the moment, you can see that we are currently ranked by QS as the 6th best university in the world. And it's really important when you're doing your university research that you do your own research and what's important to you, because each league table will be judging the universities on different things. But we are, of course, very, very proud of the fact that we always come so highly within the rankings. And so I hope also you will trust all the information that I give you today when you're considering applying and study in the UK. Now, where our expertise comes from on the matter is that we're a very subject-specific university. So we're the only UK university that focuses entirely on science, engineering, medicine, and business. So we don't teach art, we don't teach history. We've got those subjects that we're really, really good at. And it means that there's wonderful collaboration between the world of, say, engineering and maths and medicine, and it just creates this amazing fusion that we're really proud of. We have around 23,000 full and part-time students, which is around a medium-sized university in the UK, and there is an even split between undergraduates and postgraduates. We offer 130 plus undergraduate courses, and there is a 9.6 to 1 admissions to applications ratio, which essentially means it's highly competitive to gain entry. Another thing that we're exceptionally proud of is just how international we are. So we're currently ranked as the #1 most international university in the UK, which means that 62% of our students are actually coming from overseas. So again, it's a very diverse environment. It's not one type of person you see at Imperial. It's not one language that's being spoken. So just moving on now to kind of higher education in the UK and what is the UK advantage. So within the United Kingdom, we have over 120 universities. So there is such a broad depth of knowledge here. There are options to suit absolutely everybody. If you've always thought of yourself studying, by the seaside in a small town, then great, there'll be a university there for you. If you've always imagined yourself perhaps in central London, like where we are, then there's many choices for you. In fact, there's over 50 universities just in London alone. So the UK is known as being one of the biggest academic capitals in the world because of how many universities we have and how much research is conducted in London and in the UK as a whole. And this does mean that so many different companies have based their headquarters in the UK to attract those top graduates coming from UK universities. This, of course, means as well that there are hundreds of degree courses. Really, in the A to Z list of all the things that you can study, there's everything. You can study zoology, you can study surfing, you can study animals, you can study biology, chemistry, physics, history, and also do joint others honours subjects. So it's just, the possibilities are endless, and absolutely, no matter what your interests are, you will find a UK university which is catering for you. Now, one very specific point about the UK is just how specialised our degree subjects are. Now, in the UK, there are no majors and minors normally. So we don't work on that US system where you will take a major, but then you'll also take many minors that you can kind of drop or pick up throughout your time. In the UK, our degrees are very, very specialised. So I'll give you an example. So say here at Imperial, you cannot study a general engineering course. So there's not one general engineering course which is going to cover lots of different things, and then alongside it you can study other subjects. You will go straight in and choose which area of engineering you'd like to study. So perhaps that be chemical or electrical or mechanical or aeronautical. So as you can see, very specialised from very, very early on. So it just means you need to think to yourself what's best for you. Studying in the UK is really, really great for those students who already have that passion and they know exactly what they want to do. They know which course they want to do. If you are someone who is unsure and you want the flexibility to pick and choose degree classes and drop them and pick them up, then perhaps it's not the right fit for you. Another thing that we do have, though, just to kind of give you the pros and the cons, is although our degrees are very, very specialised, you can sometimes study 2 subjects at once, and that is known as a joint honours degree. But you cannot drop those subjects. You will study those 2 subjects alongside each other, and those 2 subjects must be very closely related. So in the UK, you wouldn't be able to study, say, history with dance because they don't have enough in common. But you could study, say, computing with mathematics because it's very, very similar in a lot of concepts and the theories. Now, one of the biggest bonuses and what the UK advantage is that your degree program will be shorter because we are so specialised. So where we're not doing the majors and the minors and you're really homing in on that one course, it is advantageous because our bachelor degrees are only 3 years long. So in 3 years, you'll come away with a full bachelor's degree, which, say, in North America could take you 4 years. Now, what we also offer as well are 4-year programs. But in those 4 years, you will gain a bachelor's degree, but also a master's degree. So after 4 short years, you've graduated with 2 degrees versus somewhere else where you may only have 1. So that's another huge benefit. And another thing that's very common between UK universities is independent learning. So you will do the majority of your work outside of class. We really let our students kind of plan their own work schedules. You'll have your classes, usually about 8 to 12 hours of contact time per week, but the rest is up to you. You are very much treated like adults. No one is going to tell you off if you don't attend your classes. We expect you to take your education seriously. So studying in the UK is definitely really, really great for someone who knows they're a good independent learner. Now, the study experience, as I was saying, there'll be lots of self-study, there'll be a really big subject focus, but you will also be assessed and you'll be learning through a variety of different methods. So here at Imperial especially, we're very big on labs and workshops and that practical way of learning. However, some courses will be more coursework based, some will be more group work, some will be lectures and seminars, which is more of what you'll be used to. So again, it's personal preference, but all UK universities, including Imperial, we will be publishing on our website exactly how you'll be taught and also how you'll be assessed as well. So just going to go into specifics now about the type of qualifications that you could be gaining. So as I was saying, the minimum is a 3-year course in the UK, which could consist of a BA, a BSc or a BA-NG. And you might be thinking to yourself, what does this mean? So a BA is a Bachelor of Arts. So if you're taking what we deem an arts subjects, that's what you will graduate with. If you graduate with a BSc, that is a Bachelor's of Science. And if you graduate with a BEng, that is a Bachelor's of Engineering. And depending on what your subject area is what you will graduate with. Now, additional years. So your degree may not be 3 years. It may be 4 or 5 or 6. And I'll go into it within the world of medicine and dentistry and law later on. But for different degree types, so the integrated master's courses are the ones I was discussing, where you will have those 3 years and then you will do an extra year and you'll come away with a bachelor's and a master's course. And you'll see that they are usually called an MSCI or an MEng. Another way that your course might be slightly longer is by doing a year in industry. So many UK universities, including us, will offer you a year in industry as part of the course. This allows you to get those kind of invaluable communication skills within the workplace. You're going to be practicing your skills. You will need to interview and gain that job yourself. And then we will, of course, kind of guide you through that and mentor you. And it just means you've got incredible connections waiting for you once you are a graduate. Another thing we do is a year in research. So if you've got that idea for research already, you know you want to explore a particular area of your subject, you can do a year in research where you may be able to go abroad and do your research or stay in the UK. And this is wonderful, particularly if you're thinking about pursuing a PhD or you know you have those areas of research you want to look into in more depth. Now, longer degrees will include medicine, dentistry, and veterinary science, which I will discuss a little bit later on. So we'll look at pharmacy and dentistry first and how they are normally laid out in the UK. So for dentistry, you will get a Bachelor of Dental Surgery, which is usually called a BDS or a BHCD or an MCHD. And this is a 5-year program for undergraduate entry. It can also be abbreviated to a number of different things. So I'm understanding it can be confusing for some students, but essentially they are the same qualification. Now, within that 5-year program, you will essentially do all of the necessary training, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom on placement, to then become a fully qualified dentist. So it is a direct route in that we don't require you to have done any degree before this. You can come in straight after high school to go into the dentistry. Again, this shortens the length of time that you have to study and you're fully qualified within 5 years. Now, there is a test involved for dentistry, and it's really important that you start taking notes on the tests that universities will ask for, because many of these tests, you need to register and complete them before you have sent off your application. So currently for dentistry, we need students to have completed the UCAT or the BMAT in the UK. Now, Imperial ourselves, we do not offer dentistry. So this is purely advice for other universities, but we will be required to take the UCAT or the BMAT, which is a multiple choice test, which is going to be some based on mathematics, some based on reasoning, but you can prepare for this test online, or you can buy books which will help guide you into how you can achieve a really good score. You will then submit your test result to that university, and then they will take that into account when they are selecting applicants. Now, for pharmacy, there are 2 options in the UK. There is a 4-year option and there is a 5-year option. But again, there's no previous degree required. You can come straight into pharmacy from school. And then once you complete this course, you are a fully qualified pharmacist. So you can do a 4-year option, which will not include a placement. However, in the UK, you must have completed a 1-year placement in order to register with the General Pharmaceutical Council. So what some schools are now doing is they are putting on that experience year into the degree. So if you do a 5-year course with this placement, then you are fully qualified when you leave. So again, it was just going to be based on personal preference whether or not you want to do the 4 or the 5-year option. Now, the test for pharmacy will be set by each individual institution. There is not one test that every university is using for pharmacy. Some universities will require you to take no test at all, and some of them will set an individual test. So it's worth just checking out that university's website and making sure you're prepared for whichever test they need you to take. Now for law, it is a 3-year course in the UK, the LLB, in order to do a law degree. So again, it's direct entry from school. Now, some universities that offer law will offer you to come in without having to take a test. Some of them, there's no test, they will just look at your grades and you'll be admitted entry. However, many of the most competitive universities will be using the LNAT, which is an external test that you will need to take yourself before entering into law in the UK. Now, what's important to note, though, is that studying law in the UK, it will not fully qualify you as a lawyer. Once you have qualified and you've got your LLB, you will then need to go and seek a training contract with a solicitor's or a barrister's, and then further train on the job working before you are a fully qualified solicitor or a barrister. But you will need that LLB course before you start that journey. Again, Imperial ourselves, we do not offer law, so this is purely advice for other UK universities. Now for medicine, again, direct entry, no course needed beforehand other than your high school qualifications, but it will be an MBBS course is what the medicine course in the UK is, and it fully qualifies you as a junior doctor upon completion. Now here at Imperial, it's a 6-year long course, and that's because there is an intercalation year, as we call it. Now an intercalation year is a full year out of your studies during your degree where you will study something outside of medicine. And we find that this is really beneficial just for making you a more well-rounded student, and it allows you to pursue those other passions that you have as part of your course. So that is an option for you. However, some universities will just offer in a medicine course, MBBS, 5-year long course, where it will still fully qualify you as a doctor, but you will not have an intercalated year. So this is just an example here of Imperial, what courses we're offering within the Faculty of Medicine. You can see that we've got the MBBS or the BSc Medicine, which is a 6-year long course to qualify you, or you can go into a Bachelor's in Medical Biosciences, which is the normal 3-year long course that does not require the UCAT. So just a little bit more about Imperial here. So it's good to just note how you'll be learning. I know I've already touched upon this, but look for universities as well. This is just us, but who have that research-led curriculum, particularly when you're looking at these subject areas, and really think to yourself how you want to be taught. Do you want to have an industry/research placement? Do you want to be taught in and out of the classroom? Do you want field trips? And make sure that university is providing that. So when you come to apply to any of these courses in the UK, you will be applying via UCAS, which is the UK Central Application Service. You will have up to 5 course choices, and that same personal statement will go off to all 5 universities. Now, what this means is that, 1, you have to know what you want to do, because you cannot apply to different courses at different universities. And 2, you can't shape that personal statement towards just one university. You can't write a personal statement that says, I want to go to Imperial College London, because 4 other universities will be reading that. Now, within your application, you'll have your personal information, your educational background, your choices, and your reference. And there's just one application fee to apply to all 5 UK universities. So how are you going to be assessed in your application? So a proven academic record is obviously the most important thing, particularly if you're looking at a competitive institution. And these courses specifically, when we're looking at medicine, law, and pharmacy and dentistry, are always competitive within the UK. So a proven academic record is really important. We'll also be looking at your predicted grades, and they must meet the minimum requirements. This will differ massively based on the university that you're applying to. Obviously, look at the tests that we've discussed, and also be prepared that you may have an interview along with your course. So some universities will interview all applicants, some of them won't. It's based on the individual institution. Medicine will nearly always have interviews, and they're called your MMIs, so your 6 mini interviews. And then it's like speed dating, but for medicine questions. So one booth will ask you about how you've managed to show empathy, and another will manage how you've worked in a team, and you'll be answering those interview questions very quickly, one-on-one, as part of the process. So once you've applied, the universities will get back to you in the new year. So what you will receive is either a conditional, an unconditional, or an unsuccessful. A conditional offer is most likely what you're going to receive. And that is essentially where we say, yes, you have a place on the course. However, you need to meet these requirements. Those requirements will be, you need to get your predicted grades when you take your examinations, and you also need to complete and pass any tests or interviews that we may have. At competitive universities, particularly ones offering these courses, you will not be receiving unconditional offers, but essentially it means that the university will take you no matter what your grades are, and unsuccessful means that you have not met the criteria. You will then reply to those universities and either make them your firm acceptance, which is what your number one university should be, that should be your dream university, or your insurance acceptance, which is your second choice, or you can decline them. I've put some just important dates up on the screen there. Obviously, we don't have them for this application cycle. This is for last year's, but you will need to make sure you're on top of when the BMAT deadline is, also when the LNAT deadline is, make sure you've applied to take all of those tests. It's also worth noting that most applications are due in January. That's when your deadline to apply is. However, for applications to medicine and dentistry and vet science, they will be finishing on the 15th of October. Just having a quick look at entry requirements here. Obviously, you're probably taking a variety of requirements, so please do check back on websites for your exact requirements for whatever qualification you're doing. But just as a guideline, here at Imperial, we are looking for usually between AAA, A-level to A-star, A-star, A-star at A-level. This is just a little bit more depth about what admissions tutors are looking for, and I won't go into too much detail here, but it's all about showing your passion. And as I was saying before, where our degrees are so subject specific early on, what's really key is that your application is mainly geared towards your academic interests. So that's why on the screen there you can see 75 to 90% are academic interests and 10 to 25 are extracurricular. So talk to us about the books that you've read, the podcasts you've listened to, the research, journal articles that you have been reading, what your specific areas of interest within that subject area are, and really show that you've mastered those super curricular subject areas. We want those students who live and breathe their subject area and have already learned a lot about their subject area in depth before they come. And now this does differ. So say in North America, normally in your statement, you are going to be discussing you as a person and really going into those extracurricular activities. But here in the UK, it must be more subject specific, particularly when you're talking about dentistry or law or medicine or pharmacy. So I think that's about it from me in terms of the main points. Obviously, I would love to hear some of the questions that are coming in, so I'll be checking the questions bar in a moment. But if you would like to stay in touch with us here at Imperial, there's a QR code on the screen there. We also have a chat to our students function on our website. We offer virtual tours and in-campus open days as well. So yes, we'd love for you to stay in touch. And if you have any questions about the application, you're more than welcome to follow up with me afterwards. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate that was a lot of information to take on.
Thank you, Chloe, for that very informative session. And I'd like to just take a look at some of the questions in the chat, and I'll just read them out so that everybody can see them and hear them, because I don't know that everybody can. And then perhaps you can answer them as you see fit. So is there anything special for international students? You talked a little bit about the admission requirements. Is there anything else that international students specifically should know when applying to your program?
Sure. So the process works largely like it does for a UK student. So luckily it is really simple. The only thing they'll need to do is once they've got their offer to come study at a UK university, they will need to apply for a student visa to come to the UK. And some courses will also need ATAS clearance, which is essentially a clearance that allows you to work with perhaps things that are dangerous or require some kind of level of, just an extra clearance, essentially. So you'll need to also apply for ATAS clearance for some course areas. But other than that, it really is the same.
Okay, thank you. What type of student support services are offered by Imperial College for students that might have, either disabilities or maybe need some additional support for mental health issues and things like that? Are there student services that are available for students?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our kind of student services hub, and they handle everything. So there's free counselling on site as well as mental health meetings as well. So you can go to them at any time. You can book an appointment and speak to one of our advisors, and then they can help adjust your workload and how you're learning, and just make sure that there are no barriers there that are preventing you from completing your education with us. We also have our disability advisory hub. So if you pre-warn us that you may be coming in and you may need additional help with things, that's absolutely fine. So we create a plan on how to guide you. And so we help students all the time with things like dyslexia, or perhaps it's a physical disability, and then we create that plan. So we're very, very proud of our student support services here at Imperial.
Thank you. And sort of connected to student support services, are there tutoring services or any specific services maybe geared specifically to support international students? I know some universities do have, sort of an international student support services to support English language learners. What types of supports do you have at Imperial?
Yeah, so because over half of our students are from overseas, we take this very seriously, and we're very well versed on how to support international students. So we have our international student support team. They are in contact with you from day one. They organise freshers events, so mixers where you can meet other international students. They also do a language pairing scheme. So if you want to work on your English, you'll be assigned a student, a native speaker of English, and they can then tutor you on that as well. And that also goes the same with other languages. So just a fun note that if you would like to learn another language, you can do that for free at Imperial, and you'll be paired with someone who natively speaks that language, which I've always thought was really special. But we also have student-led societies for each nationality as well. So say we have a Canadian society, or there'll be an Indian society, and it just means that students from those countries can connect with each other. On top of that, you'll also have your academic tutor who you'll go to for anything to do with your assignments, your workload, examinations as well. So yeah, very well supported from the international side.
Sounds like it. Do you have, I guess the other question is that, hold on, I just lost it there. Work study opportunities. Are there any opportunities for students on campus, for international students or students in general, in terms of being able to do some sort of work study to be able to help support with their studies?
Of course. There's a number of ways to do this. So when a student comes to us in the UK, they'll receive a student visa, which means that they can work legally for up to 20 hours per week. Now on campus, there are loads of opportunities to work. You can work for my team as an ambassador, or speaking to students on the website, representing us at events. There's also numerous catering outlets on campus. And then towards the final years, there's sometimes opportunities with professors. So yes, we do find many of our students going off and exploring that possibility. And then many of our courses, you will have to check on the website as to if this course includes that, but many of them will include a 1-year-long work placement as part of the course as well, which obviously does help towards employability, and you will be paid for your time there.
Thank you. That sounds very exciting. And there's a question here about the supercurricular and extracurricular activities, specifically with a student who's interested in pursuing medicine. We do have a number of students here who are not in their final year of high school, so they're trying to map out, what they need to do in order to be able to optimize their chances of getting into the programs. So what would you recommend specifically for somebody maybe intending on going into medicine in terms of the supercurricular activities that you talked about as being so important?
Sure. So with medicine, it is the most important thing to have work experience. So you must have completed work experience where you can demonstrate that you've been in positions of responsibility over other people. So the best experience is obviously working in a hospital. If you can get that work experience in there, that's the best. Shadowing a doctor, but also if you can't arrange that, look to just be caring for someone. So be that an elderly person volunteering in a care home, or perhaps volunteering in a nursing home and being responsible for children. You need examples where you are using your empathy and your judgment and your communication skills. That's the most important thing with medicine. Other things with medicine is that it's such a broad subject area, and we love to see what the students' specific interests within the world of medicine are. So are you looking to study pediatrics or pathology or cancer sciences? Whatever one it is, we love to see that you're already sort of doing that research and you've got those areas of interest. So that will also look really, really appealing to the admissions tutors.
Okay, thank you. And just out of curiosity, I know, sometimes university websites, and I'll admit I haven't had a chance to check out the Imperial University or College one. Is there information on sort of where degrees or where sort of graduates of Imperial College have gone? Is there anything that features maybe alumni, features people that have been successful graduates of Imperial College and moved on, that our students could explore to sort of understand of maybe some of the potential careers or some of the potential areas that they could end up in after graduation?
That's such a good question, because I often feel like with STEM careers or science careers, often there are these incredible, amazing careers that no one has ever heard of, and they don't even know it existed until they go and they have a look at what our alumni are doing, and then they're like, oh wow, that looks great, I want to do that. So if you can visit our alumni website, and we have so many alumni stories on there. With Imperial specifically, we're quite a funny university, because most universities have got alumni who are movie stars, pop stars, writers, and most of our alumni, we have astronauts, we have F1 engineers, we have got people who've set up billion-dollar science tech companies, and so they are a little bit less visible sometimes, but definitely have a look on the alumni page on our website, and we've got dedicated student stories there where you can have a look. And the other thing to do is you're more than welcome to contact the department. So let's say you're interested in mechanical engineering, you can send an email to the lecturers and say, hi, what did your last class, what are they graduated into, like what are the most common careers here, and they'll be more than happy to kind of tell you what they're doing.
Thank you, that's fantastic. And there's one question a student asked just about sharing the presentation, and I just want to let everybody know that this presentation was recorded and will be shared with all of our Rosedale students on our LMS with the follow-up from today's sessions. So if you wanted to go back and watch it, or share it with a classmate or a friend, you'll be able to do that in the future. There's a question here about scholarships. That's always a big one. Scholarships, financial aid for international students. Is there anything specific? Are they in sort of the same pool as everybody else? Are there specific things that the students should be looking for in order to sort of help pay for their university education?
Of course. So the first thing to note is that for us at Imperial anyway, nearly all of our scholarships are granted based on academic merit. So the first thing that you can do if you may wish to receive that funding and support is maintaining an exceptional academic record. That's the best thing that you can do, because the scholarships will be awarded to those students who have really done the extra mile and they've got these incredible grades. So I definitely do that. Now, we do have our scholarship search tool on our website where you can see what available scholarships there are. To be honest with you, it can be quite a complex thing for me to explain, because there are scholarships based on country, there are scholarships based on academic ability or particular circumstance. So the scholarships that apply to one student may not apply to another at all. So you will have to go away and do some research. The only thing I'll say, just within full transparency, is they are hugely competitive. So I nearly always tell students to look at other methods of funding alongside scholarships, just in case they don't receive one. It is much easier to receive a scholarship at postgraduate level here at Imperial than it is at undergraduate level. And for those students who are looking to study medicine, we do not currently offer any international student scholarships for medicine as well. Other subject areas, there's more flexibility, but there's not currently an offering just for medicine.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to ask the students, I know we have a few more minutes before we have to wrap up, so I think we've addressed most of the questions in the chat, but I was just curious to know if any students do have any further questions that you would like to ask Chloe. And it can be related to Imperial College, but I'm sure she would also be happy to answer just about general admissions to UK universities as well as to how it works. If she has that in, and because she's got the experience and she works in the UK, just please to put it either in the comment box or in the Q&A, and we'll make sure that she answers. But while we're waiting for that, can you sort of describe a little bit maybe about the student life at Imperial College? Like, where is it for the students, just to give them a sense, because a lot of our students have never been anywhere near Imperial College. So if you could just share a little bit about that for our students, I think they would appreciate it.
Sure. So we're based in central London. So we are only 20 minutes away from, say, Buckingham Palace or the Houses of Parliament or the London Eye or any of those kind of iconic London landmarks that you probably spring to your mind. So we're very, very, very central. But we do have that one central campus in London. So you have that base and you have your catering outlets there, your library is there, your classes are there. We also have halls of residence that are there as well. So it feels nice. You've got that home, that student hub on campus. Now, Imperial students, obviously, because it's a very competitive university, they're very bright, but they really do know how to have fun. We have over 360 clubs and societies here at Imperial. So there are societies for every single sport, musical instrument, you name it. You will find other people who are interested in what you are interested in. So absolutely, you will be able to really balance that work-life balance and have a social life. And our campus, there are halls of residence which are on our campus in South Kensington, but then there's also some slightly further out as well, around a 20-minute journey away. First years are guaranteed accommodation as well, so you don't have to worry about that. And then in second, third, fourth, fifth year, students usually band together and rent a house in London. In London, it's been voted the #1 best city in the world to be a student. There's 50 universities in London. The city is built for being a student. There's so much to do and enjoy.
Thank you so much for sharing that. How is the international, you talk about international students, and one of the questions is, what's the international student community like? Do students are there groups specifically for different nationalities? Do they interact a lot? Is there, how is that international student community on campus, I guess, is sort of the question.
Yes. So yeah, we do have clubs and societies specifically for students of particular nationalities. So, if you're French, you can join French society to meet other French students, and same with many other nationalities, because lots of students, they want to still be speaking the language that they've grown up with every now and again, even though they've been taught in English. So you can meet other students from your country that way. But there really is great fusion, because we've got over 130 nationalities on this campus. So every single class is very, very diverse. And I think that nearly everyone who comes to Imperial will find themselves making friends with people from countries they have never been to, sometimes never even heard of, and from all different sorts of backgrounds as well. But yeah, it is a really lovely student community.
Thank you. And the question about research opportunities. A lot of students are looking for sort of more of a hands-on research, and I know you alluded to it a little bit in your earlier presentation, but maybe could you clarify a little bit about what types of research opportunities might there be present for students if they're pursuing a program at Imperial?
Sure. So we have UDrop. We call it UDrop. That's our name for it, which is our specific Imperial program. Now, at undergraduate level, it is quite uncommon in the UK to find research opportunities. So we are very proud as a university that we do offer UDrop. So essentially, once you have an idea formed, you can approach a professor and then find funding to then conduct your research abroad or in the UK. So we love to hear the ideas. And on our website, you can read some of the stories about what students have researched. And yes, definitely a rare opportunity for undergraduates. It won't be offered at every single UK university, but it is something that we do offer here at Imperial.
Thank you. And we have one question here about a student who is already thinking of life beyond university and wondering, how does Imperial support students sort of maybe in finding internships or job opportunities, either during their studies or maybe as they come towards the end of the studies, like what services are sort of available if there are any?
Sure. So we have our careers hub. Now this bit, again, this is going to sound boastful. It's not meant to at all. But we are #1 in the UK for graduate prospects, which means that Imperial students find jobs quicker and earn more than graduates from any other UK university. And part of that is the support that we give them. So the careers team put on 5 careers fairs per year, and they're done by subject. So we'll have like an engineering careers fair, we'll have a computing careers fair, and essentially the best employers come to our campus on the premise of recruiting Imperial students. The careers team also take one-to-one appointments, so they can do everything. They can give you guidance and workshop you on how to improve your interview skills or your presentation skills or your teamwork skills. There's a job postings board, so if you tell them the area that you're interested in, they can then alert you when jobs are coming up in that industry and help you gain that awareness. They talk to you about what our alumni have done, and we've got an incredible alumni association, so sometimes our students will find themselves heading into employment via connections they've made with that as well. And our careers team is available to our students 3 years after they graduate as well. So let's say you enter the graduate job market and you want to make some changes or move industry, then you can come back and receive that advice too.
Fantastic. I know I wish that when I was at university, we had supports like that, because those didn't exist 30 years ago. But anyway, I think we're almost coming up. We've got about a minute left. So I was just wondering, Chloe, if you had sort of one major piece of advice for our students as they sort of embark on this new adventure of finding a post-secondary school and applying, what would that advice be to all of our students in terms of, going down that route?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to sound really boring, but read. Just read. So like it can just never hurt to gather that information. Be the person in the room who is most passionate about that subject area. You've read that book or that journal article, you've gone out and found out about it. And to never shy away from showing your passion, because in the personal statement, in the interviews, every single step of the way, the one thing they are most looking at is this student must love this course. They are genuinely passionate. They are not passionate because their parents think they should be, or because they think it will get them a career that will earn them lots of money. They love this course and they want to contribute to this course. So you can start that now. And I think an awareness of supercurricular activities shows that so well. There's no better way to demonstrate that subject interest than by being like, look, I learned this subject in school, and then when I get home from school, I'm still interested in it. It's my work, but also it's my fun. And I think that can look particularly impressive. So yeah, that's what I'd be. Read and be passionate.
Thank you so much, Chloe, for your enthusiasm and your informative presentation today. So on behalf of all of our students, I'd like to thank you for sharing your insights into Imperial College. And I wish you the best. And to all of our students, thank you so much for joining us. Please log into the closing remarks. You can just click play when you get there, and it should begin from the beginning. And I look forward to hearing the adventures of our students as they go on to Imperial and continuing the discussions in future. So thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks again to everyone who tuned in.